All Arkansas, all sports. It's more sports.
Welcome into the show. What's going on, everybody? I'm Wes Moore. Big week this week. It is week one for high school football games. And then, of course, it's rivalry week. We get Arkansas State. How about UAPB, UCA playing the four in-state schools, playing each other this week. First time ever that has happened. We're going to talk a little high school football, though. We're going to start off with our More Sports Player of the Week. And let's bring in our guest and welcome Hank Hendrix from Fayetteville High School. Hank, hey, man, great job. Congratulations. What a game. I mean, first game there in Fayetteville, and how'd that feel to not only get the win, but to play so well?
Yeah, thank you. It was good. It was good to come out and really just play well as a team. I think we were good on offense and defense, and so to be able to come out and have a good week one with not too many mistakes, and to come out with a win, and then also be able to learn some stuff and take some keys from the game to hopefully get better and be a little cleaner in week two.
Yeah, your stats were awesome, 475 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, but I know there's no such thing as a perfect game. What did you see when you go back and watch the tape? What do you need to clean up?
I think for me, probably just not rushing myself too much. I think I missed a couple of throws just because I probably got too excited seeing them come open. But that's probably for me, and then probably just keeping the ball out of harm's way. I think we did a pretty good job of that, but like I said, you can always be better. And so, yeah, that's probably it. Just keeping the ball. Actually, staying ahead of the chains is probably a big one. Just having a good first play, trying to stay ahead of ourselves and not get off schedule.
What were the emotions like for you? I mean, it's the first game of the year, so everybody's already jacked up. But, I mean, it's a new school. You're learning a new offense. What was it like?
Luckily, there weren't too many. There weren't too much nerves. Being able to be here since spring, Coach V and Coach Dick have done a great job just helping me know this and really just kind of be in it for these. Just having that good relationship with all the teammates and everyone was together and everything. I think we were just ready to play. So really, I think there were more excitement than nerves to finally get out there against someone else and just finally be able to cut it loose in front of all these fans and be able to represent Fayetteville.
Talking with Hank Hendricks, it's our More Sports Player of the Week for the Fayetteville Purple Dogs. How similar is this offense, the Fayetteville offense, to the offense you were running in Texas?
It's actually pretty similar. Most passing concepts are the same. We definitely probably throw the ball more here, which I like. So yeah, it's been an easy adjustment. But yeah, we used to throw the ball a little bit more and to sling it
Tell me
around.
about your weapons. A quarterback always gets to look a little better when he's got a bunch of great weapons. What do you have?
Oh, we got a lot of them. I think all of our guys that start can go, and then we got some guys that can come in and rotate that are just as good. And so just if I can get them the ball in any sort of space and just let them do their thing, it's going to be a good night. And which we saw. I could just get out quick screens, do anything, and just let those guys run, and it makes my
How
life
about your
easier.
offensive line?
They're really good too. A lot of guys have played, and so we've got some big guys that can go well, and so I was proud of them for sure.
How's the transition gone for you? Just moving in and getting acclimated to a new school, new classes, new teammates. What's that been like? Hank, you got me?
Fayetteville's probably twice. Yeah, it's cutting in and out. I think we're good though.
Okay.
Fayetteville's twice the size of where I moved from, so the first couple of days walking to school was kind of different. Trying not to get lost, but yeah, it was a good transition just because I moved here when spring ball started. So when I came in, I could kind of just go straight into football, and so being able to be around the guys every day, just get to know them from working out in the spring to finally going into more football was definitely the easiest and helped me a lot. And so being able to do that and then go into summer be able to have some free time and go hang out with them outside of football and build the relationships there has been pretty key.
Like, what's it like to be recruited? Most people watching this, they don't have a clue, what you go through, the calls, the texts, whatever. Just what's it like? What's a daily, an example, one day like being recruited?
It's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. Even kind of when I feel overwhelmed by it or there's a lot of people calling, I just kind of talk to myself. Not many people get this opportunity, but it's good. I'd probably get out of this today and have just a couple people text in just kind of about the game and get on kind of maybe one or two calls throughout the day, but it's never too much. And then obviously, they have busy schedules too, so it's not 24/7, which is nice. But whenever they have time, they definitely want to just hop on calls and just catch up about the week.
How many we talking? How many calls you get and then text a day?
Probably one or two calls, and then probably like a couple texts, maybe 4 to 5, just depending on who has time and who reaches out that day.
It's pretty cool too. And for example, you got to go to the Razorback game Saturday and check that out. So you get to go on campuses, visit these places, go to games. So that's pretty cool too. Just a kind
Really
of
cool.
a little
Oh
tour
yeah,
around the country on visits.
yeah. I went on a little world tour this summer, going to camp and stuff, and that was really fun.
When do you want to decide? Do you have that goal where you'd like to get this over with?
For me, the timeline is probably in the spring. Definitely just want to focus on this season and just kind of go all in on this season and just playing the best we can. And then once we kind of see who all comes in after the season and kind of narrow down schools, trying to go on some official visits, and then from then probably make a decision.
What did you think of the Razorback game Saturday? How was that visit?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah, it was a good first game. They came out, they played well. It was cool to see. I got to see my brother warm up, so I was down there on the sidelines when he was there. Took some videos, got to see him. And it was good. I mean, Arkansas, they always treat me well, and they're always very welcoming and opening whenever I come in. And so, yeah, it was just cool to see. This is the true game day atmosphere. To finally live it here. The streets were closed down. Had to walk everywhere, but it was fun, and yeah, it was a good experience.
What do you think of Taylon Green and the offense? What Coach Petrino had dialed up?
Liked it a lot. Basically, every play somebody was open.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, offense played really well. Yeah, it was fun to finally see like a full game of theirs in person, and so I loved it a lot.
I know you've already turned the page from Friday night and looking ahead to this weekend. What's this week look like for you guys on Friday night?
Yeah, it should be good. Good opponent in Broken Arrow, and so being able to have these good, I guess, non-conference games to kind of test who we are and see what we're about. So I think it's going to be a good week of preparation, and then hopefully we can cut it loose Friday night against a good opponent.
Hank, once again, man, thank you for joining us today. Congrats on being the More Sports Player of the Week. Hey, it's our first ever Player of the Week. This is a brand new show, so you'll go down in history as our first ever high school football Player of the Week. So pretty cool. Thank you, man. Good job.
You. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks. Hank Hendrix joining us. We're going to take a look. I want to show you some of the highlights. Coach Casey Dick's going to join us now. This is what it looked like Friday night with Fayetteville and Cabot. Fayetteville winning the game 66-24. Cabot got off to a good start and scored early in the game. What a run by the quarterback, keeping that, spinning into the end zone. Then Fayetteville kind of got going and just kept pouring it on. And again, Coach Dick, while we're taking a look at the highlights. Coach, you had to be pretty proud what you saw Friday night.
It was good. I thought once everybody settled down, obviously in the beginning, kind of got those first game jitters out. On both sides of the ball was really, really consistent, which is what we wanted. We were able to play a lot of kids, in a lot of different situations. Some of those guys, new faces, some of those young. So, they were able to get in there, get their feet wet, and be, kind of get accustomed to how everything functions and works. So it was overall a great night. I thought we were pretty consistent. Again, on both sides of the ball. as far as being able to move the ball. And then once we settled in on defense, as far as just being able to get them off the field, get the ball back to our guys on offense, and let them go do their thing for sure.
We just saw that deep ball from Hank, and that was pretty. I mean, he's got nice touch.
He's got great touch. I think that's one of the things he has is when you watch him, at practice and in a game, he's able to make every throw on the field, which kind of sets you apart, obviously, when you're playing, the quarterback position, whether the ball's on the right hash or the left hash, it doesn't really matter, for him. So he's able to drive the ball, put it down the seam, put it outside, and do a variety of things we're asking. And the funnest thing is he's like having another coach out there. Is we can tell him something one time, and then you probably don't have to say anything to him for 3 or 4 weeks about it until you see it again or something pops up. So, he takes coaching very well, remembers what you tell him, and obviously can take it out there and execute all the different aspects that go along with it.
Has he lived up? Because you hear, I'm sure, some rumblings that he may be moving in, and then you get him, but you don't know the kid. Has he lived up to everything you thought that you would be getting?
Everything and more. I tell you all the time. Number one, probably most important thing is he's the best teammate. That was something that he took very serious when he came in. Was really getting to know our guys, which is important. Anytime you're a new guy or new on a team, you want to develop their relationships just like we want to develop relationships with him before we can really coach him the way that we want to. We've got to get to know him so that when we do coach him hard, it's the right way. He doesn't just think we're absolutely coming out here and being demeaning to him. But we are doing it in a way that cares. But obviously, there's a reason behind us doing what we're doing. So he took that very, very well. Was able to develop relationships, and it's very. I think this is probably the most underlooked aspect as far as playing the quarterback position. Is you got to know obviously everybody on offense and know kind of what makes them push and how to push their buttons. And he has a demanding way of doing it, but it's not demeaning. In any way. So there's a lot of different personalities, obviously, when you play that position to where, receivers are completely different human beings and the way that they operate than offensive linemen. And offensive linemen they're like on a different planet over there in the way that they operate and see things. So he's done a great job of, really taking over, being the leadership, being the coach out there on the field and making us a lot better.
How is it? You got a secret to your success? You got a nice little run of quarterbacks coming through Fayetteville.
I don't, we're fortunate enough to get great kids, whether he was here or with somebody else, back in the spring, I think there was 4 or 5, and then they all, obviously with the transfer rule going into effect, they all dissipated and went other places, and obviously they're going to have great careers. But, he's a great one, just a great teammate, great kid, great person, and I tell people all the time, it's easy to coach a coach's kid. He's been around it his whole life. He's really got about 18 game head start. So when you look at it, he played 4 games as true freshman year, 14 last year as a sophomore. So we use this word, but it's not very common. He's an experienced junior quarterback. So it's kind of the total package right now.
You said total package, but I remember talking to you at the Buzz Countdown to Kickoff event in Little Rock, and I was like, is he the real deal? And you're like, oh, yeah, he's the real deal. He's lived up to it.
He is, I think, yeah, just, what people don't see is his preparation. I think his preparation throughout a weekly basis. And then, I wasn't shocked by the way that he played. I know other people probably are that don't see him every day, but the way that he practices every day and the consistency that he displays on a daily basis is nothing different than what he went out there and did on Friday night. So I know, he was, like I said, his dad did a great job of really preparing him. And now we just obviously don't mess him up.
You think part of it is people in Arkansas don't know anything about him, and so he's moving in, and so it's almost like, can't be that good, right? You think that's part of it? Maybe some of the reason why he didn't get so much of the preseason hype or love?
I think it is, and that's okay. Anytime you have a kid that comes in from out of state that nobody's seen, obviously until you go out there and perform and put it on tape, then, people can look at what you did last year, but if you're new, they're obviously going to be a little bit hesitant just to put some things out there. But, when he came in, the way he's prepared, the how much he's gotten better every single week and been familiar with our guys and our offense, like I said, I wasn't shocked by how he went out there and played and performed. That's who he is every day for us, and he's done a great job of really coming in and just preparing and putting his head down and working and going out there and playing at a high level every
It's
day.
got to say a lot about Hank too. Just to move in and be new to a school, be new to a team, and be thrust into this role. To me, it says a lot about his character and the way he was accepted by the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did it the right way. He came in for the first, month or so and just put his head down, went to work and really showed everybody, kind of set the pace without being a vocal leader. And then obviously he came out of his shell, over the summer, and he's become another coach out there, from coaching our kids to, hey, when he sees something on video or the way that we ran around on the sideline, he's coaching our guys up based on, where they need to be or how they need to get there. And just done a great job, like I said, of building relationships with those guys and being demanding. Obviously he does have a little, street credit because our guys trust him. He's been in the fire for 18 games as a junior and really 19 now. So, they know that, his level of preparation, they're all trying to match, where he's at, how consistent they can be.
Is he a big kid? It looked. I was trying to figure. It's hard on a computer and sit down.
He's about 6'4". So he's a bigger kid. He's played basketball in the years past, and so it was new to him to be in off season, throughout the duration and not play basketball when he came in. And he's a really good basketball player. You can go search it out there on the internet. He can throw it down at the rim, and he's a very athletic kid for sure.
I got to ask you, because this is a pretty big week with Arkansas State finally playing. As a former Razorback, your thoughts on this game finally happening?
Oh, I think it's great for the state. I think it's great for everybody. Obviously, it being in Little Rock, you're going to draw some fans from obviously Arkansas State, the Jonesboro, and then you're obviously going to draw a whole bunch of people from the Little Rock area that support the Hogs. But I think it's great for our state, great for our people. Something that you're probably going to be split decision 50-50 on whether it should have happened sooner or not. Obviously, that's a double-edged sword, whether you're at one school or you're at the other. So it's a little bit different scenario for everybody. But Arkansas State's been doing a good job lately. Obviously, last year they had a pretty good season and kind of turned it around and got it going. In Arkansas, obviously, I think building with what they have returning on the offensive line, and then obviously at Talon, I think it kind of speaks volumes as far as I think the unknown factor for everybody right now is just the comfort level that Coach Petrino has to go up in the press box and call plays. I think not the normal human being kind of looks into that. But if you really know, you kind of sit down and you look at it, that tells you how comfortable he is with Talon in year two. As far as year one, he felt like he needed to be down there on the field and talk to him more. But now just the comfort level that he has with the offense and know what to do, is why he's in the booth.
Should have called you last week when we were talking about this on the buzz, because you would have that firsthand knowledge of what this actually means. And how would you have liked to have Coach Petrino in the press box tonight in your ear on the sideline?
I just would have loved to have him for 2 years. Obviously it'd have been a little bit different. He probably would have still said everything he said to me. But just the overall comfort level, of going in and having an offense for 2 years would have been awesome when I was there. It was kind of crazy for me having 4 different coordinators and 4 different position coaches and 2 different head coaches in 4 years. So it was a little bit, always hectic running around and trying to learn stuff and get familiar with stuff. But just year 2 for Talon's going to be a big
Talk to
year.
me about sideline versus being in the press box and seeing the game and calling the plays. Is that something, you're the head coach, so you have to be down there, but what's the advantage?
Yeah. I've never been, I hate using the word never. I don't like being in the press box. I know obviously from a coordinator level, it's probably obviously a lot more beneficial from that angle, but I've always, played the game on the field and then coached on the field. And I've always just felt like it was really necessary at the high school level for us to be down on the field, to talk to our quarterback. Obviously in college, I think it's different when you have the support staff and everybody down and all your assistant coaches that can, you can talk to them, but also they can put on a headset and, talk to your offensive coordinator as well. So it's a little bit different, but again, it just speaks volumes of the comfort level that they have with each other now, as far as from, where Coach Petrino's been to him being on the field. I think he is very dangerous when he goes to the box, because now he can see the entire picture. Not saying that he can't see it there, but he has that now that kind of that 1,200-foot view of what everybody's doing and not, kind of that side view or side angle, but he can really, really see the whole picture.
Fayetteville head coach Casey Dick with us. You mentioned Talon. What did you see? Did you see anything different from Talon Saturday? And we're trying to all keep it in perspective because of the opponent, but did you notice anything different?
I thought just the comfort level, and what I mean by comfort level is number one, decision making. I felt like he got through, the progressions a lot quicker. He's going to, now it's game one too. So, they probably spent, an extra week on getting ready for that. But I think, the decision making, the preciseness of everything, and just the way that things were executed, I think that's going to be a trend for him all year. He's going to be able to get through progressions a lot quicker because he's seen it. He's played in the SEC now, but now he also has year two of playing quarterback in the same system to where he's just going to, number one, he's going to play faster, kind of like I said in Little Rock too, which in return, everybody else on the field will play faster because he's able to distribute the ball and get it to where it's going a lot easier.
Did you like what you saw?
I did. I think they're going to be exciting. I think the offensive line is more physical, going to be able to run the ball better than what they were for sure. You have two running backs back there, both different. You got Braylon Russell, who's kind of be the Broderick Green of back in the old days, but still has the ability to take the ball, the distance, catches the ball well, the backfield, and you have Talon and those receivers that they'll the longer they play, the more comfortable they get, obviously. And then as it goes week by week, they'll just take that game plan and narrow it down and really do what makes those guys comfortable.
What did you see out of the receivers? Because we were all like, well, we don't know what they got. They're all new guys. It's tough to get a gauge on what they may have at receiver.
I think they did a great job. I think when you really look at it from the holistic picture, you've got some guys that, Coach Petrino loves the speed guys. I think you've got some guys out there that can take the top off of it if they need to. And then when you look at it, I think you've got some guys that really run the intermediate routes really, really well and have a great understanding for zone and man coverage, which is obviously critical at that level because people are going to mix it up and play different things and, play different coverages. So there is an understanding that those guys have to have and understand as well. There's a lot of side adjustments, meaning, if it's a particular coverage for the receivers, they're supposed to run one route. And then if it's a different coverage, they're going to break it off and run a different one. So it's not all on the quarterback. Like those guys have got to understand, based on the coverage, I'm either going to run a high corner. If it's cover three, then I'm going to keep it vertical. So they've got to be on the same page with Talon as well. So I thought it obviously was clean. It was efficient. And I thought overall they executed pretty well.
All right, let's finish with Fayetteville. What do you got this week with Broken Arrow?
A great football team. I think when you look at them, they've got a great team. It's been a very, high tradition program. Couple of guys over there that we know that we've coached with together. So, I think it'll be a great game for us. Obviously, our second home game of the year against a team that's really well known in the state of Oklahoma.
Awesome stuff. Hey, thank you for joining us today. It was a lot of fun. Good to catch up with you, and congratulations on week one against Cabot and what Hank was able to do.
Thanks, Wes.
Casey Dick joining us on More Sports, our first ever More Sports Player of the Week, Hank Hendrix. 475 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Not bad at all. All right, coming up, tomorrow night's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have Butch Jones with us, head coach at Arkansas State, talking about the Arkansas State-Arkansas game. We'll preview that and get to catch up and learn a little bit about the Red Wolves and get his thought on the rivalry. And we're going to talk with a couple of former players also. One from Arkansas, one from Arkansas State. A little trash talking, I'm sure. 2 kids that grew up playing football in the state of Arkansas, and now they get to see that rivalry happen. That's going to do it for tonight. I appreciate you watching. We'll be back here tomorrow night for a little bit more sports.
All Arkansas, all sports.